few years ago, I used to be the kind of guy who would stay up till 2 a.m. watching brain rot shows on Netflix. While I was watching these shows, I would also be binging on fast food. And the second that I was done eating, I would feel this hint of sadness and guilt. The next day, I would wake up feeling sleep deprived, having a bunch of brain fog, and I would end up pretty much wasting the day doom scrolling or watching random YouTube videos. This was pretty much my life all the way until the age of 22. Sure, I would be a bit productive here and there for a couple of days, but for the most part, I was not living a life that I was proud of. But that isn't who I am anymore. I am now someone who trains martial arts and lifts weights at the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I'm now able to consistently work on things that I find meaningful. I've been a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies, and I've been one of the best performing students in both my bachelor's and my master's program. Now when I meet people who I knew back in high school, they say that I'm almost unrecognizable. In this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of protocols that played a major role in this transformation. And if you start implementing these protocols in your life, I can say this with certainty that your self-discipline is going to skyrocket. So let's get right into it. Back when I was a doom scrolling teenager, my perspective on life was that living is supposed to be mood dependent. So if you wake up feeling like you want to read, then you would read a book. And if you wake up feeling like playing video games, then you should play video games. You pretty much do what you feel like doing till the end of your life. But after following this mindset for a couple of years, I came to the realization that this approach is flawed. It's flawed because most days I would wake up with absolutely no desire to do anything productive. It's almost as if the factory setting that I had was that how can I have as much fun as possible with little to no effort? And if I was going to live my life based on these default settings, then I was destined to fail. Go of this mood-based, unstructured way of living. And I started adopting something called systems-based living. One of the core principles on which this systems-based lifestyle is dependent on is that you can get yourself in a mood to do productive things, provided that you follow certain steps. And these steps are what make up your life systems. Let me give you an example. I know that if I eat nutrition-rich food today and go to bed early and get a high quality of sleep, then it's almost guaranteed that tomorrow I'm going to wake up early and motivated and ready to do productive things. Or if I mess up my sleep schedule, like I go out at night with my friend and then come back at 2 a.m., then I can say with certainty that tomorrow I'm going to wake up feeling groggy, sleep deprived, and unable to do anything productive. So rather than me obsessing over the fact that I have to wake up tomorrow and do productive things or do XYZ, I instead obsess over the things that I'm required to do today to ensure that both my diet and my sleep are of high quality. And this is why I have created a system for my diet and for my sleep. In each of my systems, I have key rules and steps. In my diet system, for example, first rule is that I am absolutely not going to eat any processed food. Things like french fries, burgers, soda, candy. I've realized that when I consume these things, I have a very hard time focusing on things. To me, these things are essentially micro doses of poison. The next rule that I have is that I am not going to have fast food delivery apps on my phone because it is very tempting to quickly order something, especially when you're feeling a bit low. The third rule I have is that I am going to fast for 15 hours every single day. This makes my mood better, allows me to focus better, and improves the quality of my sleep. The fourth rule that I have is that I will be following a low carb diet. I feel the best when I restrict my carbs to about 70 grams a day. My mind feels a lot sharper. But if I go overboard on carbs, I begin to feel a bit drowsy and tired. Just like I have these rules for my diet system, I also have filled out these steps for all my other systems. And your systems of diet, sleep, workout might look very different than mine, and that is perfectly fine. Your life systems need to be personally crafted for you, based on your research, and more importantly, based on your personal experiences with them. The longer that you follow your systems, the easier it will be to follow them. Like at this point, I don't even need to look at my life systems anymore. They have now become my default settings, and it is these systems that offer me excellent mental and physical health, and that allows me to be productive consistently. Discipline is basically composed of two things: the ability to do productive things consistently and the ability to resist bad habits or bad behaviors. Just how we have created this system that encourages productivity, we need to also create a system that discourages these bad habits and behaviors. For example, you could be someone who suffers from a scrolling addiction. Then the first step that you need to do is create an anti-scrolling system. In this system, you're going to note down all the steps and rules that make it unlikely for you to scroll. This system could look something like this. The first rule is that you keep no social media apps on your phone. No TikTok, no Instagram, no Snapchat. This way, you're not just going to start scrolling out of muscle memory. The second rule is that you will be putting your phone on flight mode for long periods of the day. This way, you're not being bombarded by calls or messages and don't have to really check your cell phone for any purpose. The third rule is that you're only allowed to check your notifications or DMs on social media only via your personal computer. This way, accessing these social media sites becomes a very conscious process and you don't end up doom scrolling. But here's the thing, guys. Just because you've created these systems for productivity and quitting bad habits, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get the results that you want immediately. Your systems are created based on the information that you currently possess about that domain. So for example, maybe that you think that your diet system is ready, but little did you know you are also lactose intolerant. So each time you drink milk, you blow it up, you get brain fog, and then you no longer feel like being productive. At the end of the day, you're just confused, like, what the hell, bro? I've been following the system. What is going on? Why am I such a mess? When you do not get the results that you want, it is very likely due to a faulty or an incomplete system. There is something missing, and this brings me to the concept of continuous system development. The main idea behind this principle is that you are now going to live like a scientist who's experimenting and observing. And it is this process of experimentation, observation, and learning that is going to continuously refine the current systems that you have. So for example, you may be someone who has very well-defined systems in his life, but what ends up happening is that occasionally you're struck with these migraines that you just feel tired, lethargic, can't focus, so you end up being unproductive the entire day, and this just really messes up your routine and your momentum. You are now going to address this issue the way that a scientist would. You're firstly going to research about the most likely causes of these migraines. Maybe it's the food, maybe it's the screen time, maybe it's your posture. You're going to perhaps change your diet and go on a carnivore diet for a month, or maybe you now start tracking your screen time and limit it down to just 1 hour, or maybe you go on a specialized weightlifting program just for your posterior chain and posture. After enough of these experiments, enough of these trials and errors, you are finally going to come up with a solution to your problem, and it is this solution that you're going to use to update and refine your systems once again. This process of continuous system development is so powerful, especially when it comes to beating bad habits. Maybe you're someone who's trying to get lust or pornography out of their life. You just keep relapsing time and time again. The brutal truth is you will continue to do so if you do not update your systems. Each relapse is a point that demands the system update. You need to sit down and ask yourself, what the hell happened? What went wrong? Did I get triggered by something? Was it the food that made me impulsive? Was it the lack of sleep? Just like a scientist would investigate such an issue, you need to do the same. And then whatever is the hypothesis that comes to your mind, you need to conduct experiments for it and note down the results in your system. And to be honest with you, this might take a while. This might be a bit of a frustrating experience. Probably 9 out of 10 experiments are going to fail. But I tell you what, it is so damn worth it to get that one solution that just completely flips your life around. You're going to realize that the better your systems are, the less likely you are to indulge in those bad habits. And when you make your system damn near perfect after research, trials and errors, it is then when you would have left that habit for good. If you're currently struggling with bad habits and you have no idea what to add to your system to quit them, then make sure that you watch this video to learn how to do just that.